Hello everyone. So we're going to discuss the 5 basic differentiation rules before we're going to excel or advance to the next rules. Okay? So what are these 5 basic rules of differentiation? So una, this one is very important, yet the simplest or easiest rule of differentiation. At iyon ay pagkuha ng derivative ng isang constant term. Ngayon, I think you know what I mean by constant term. Okay? So basically, if you guys don't know, constant term, it is a term that exists as a constant. Kumbaga, they exist as a number. Wala siyang kapartner na x or y or any function or naging coefficient siya sa isang variable or function. Wala. Wala siyang kapartner. Rather, it exists as a number. Okay, let me give you an example. Di ba meron tayong polynomial ng x squared minus 2x plus 1. Itong si 1, di ba, it is just a number. Okay, it is just a number. So this number is constant term. Okay, this term is a constant term because this term has no partner. Okay, wala siyang kapartner. Rather, it exists as a constant or as a number. Itong si 1, number lang to eh. Constant lang siya eh. Wala siyang kapartner ng x or function, wala. Basta number lang. So itong term, ang tawag natin sa kanya ay constant term. So how are we going to get the derivative of a given constant term? So it's easy. So let me represent A as a constant. So, if kukunin natin yung derivative ng isang constant term, ang sagot mo dyan ay 0. Okay? Kung kukunin mo yung derivative ng isang constant term, ang sagot mo ay 0. Let me give you an example. Okay? Kunin natin yung derivative ng sabihin natin 3. Anong sagot natin dito? The answer is 0. Okay? Next. Kunin natin yung derivative ng negative 9. Anong sagot natin dito? The answer is 0. So what did you observe? You see, si 3 at saka si negative 9, both of them are just numbers. Wala siyang kapartner ng x. Rather, numbers lang. So kahit positive or negative sila, tapos kukunin mo yung derivative nilang dalawa, ang sagot nila ay 0 pa rin. Because both of them are still constants. Okay? So, how about this one? Kunin natin yung derivative ng negative 10,579. Anong sagot natin dito? Is still 0 pa rin. 0 pa rin siya. Okay? Ito, malaki to eh. It's a big number. Pero, again, it is just a number. Okay? It is just a can see, wala siyang kapartner ng x. Wala siyang kapartner ng variable. Basta number lang siya. Okay? It exists as a constant term. So, anong derivative nito? It is 0. So, meaning, no matter how big they are, the derivative of it is 0. Ganun yun. Okay? Now, lastly, how about this one? The derivative of pi. So, anong derivative ng pi? The answer is 0 pa rin. Si pi, di ba nakaganito yung symbol niya, di ba? Okay. Ito, it is just a symbol. Okay? Not a variable. Symbol to. Para saan? para sa isang irrational number. Kasi ito, pi is approximately 3.14. Okay? Naka 2 decimal place tayo. Pero actually, napakahaba ang decimal value nito. It's continuously evolving. Okay? Parami ng parami to ng decimal value. Okay? So, kung kukunin mo yung exact value nito, magiging 3.14 and so on, so forth, and mararami pang mga decimal value. Like, super dami. And there's a recent news yata na sabi daw, nakaabot na to ng trillion decimal place. Trillion decimal place. Okay? So, I try to search it if it's true. And yun, totoo nga. It reaches trillion decimal place. So, syempre, you wouldn't use that huge amount of number in that equation. Di ba, hindi ang haba? So, we're going to represent it with this symbol, which is si pi. Therefore, ito ay isang constant. And if it exists as a constant term at kunin mo yung derivative niya, ang sagot pa rin niya ay 0. So, what does this mean? It means that kahit na malaki, maliit, positive, negative, rational or irrational, fraction or hindi naka-fraction, basta it exists as a constant term, the answer is still 0 if you're going to get the derivative of it. Nakukuha nyo ba ako? Okay? It's still 0. Okay? Kahit positive, negative, small value, naka-decimal o hindi, basta naka-constant term lang siya, the answer is still 0. Okay? So now, we're done at the first basic rule of differentiation, which is the easiest. Okay? Ngayon, sa second rule of differentiation naman is, let's just say, meron tayong constant, tapos meron siyang kapartner ng x. Anong derivative niya? Okay? So, yun yung second thing na i-discuss natin. Derivative of a term that has a constant with x. Okay? Constant with x. Wait lang, ayusin ko yung spacing kasi medyo magkadikit si constant at saka si with. Ayan. So, kanina, di ba, meron tayong x squared minus 2x plus 1. Okay? So, kung si 1, we know how to get the derivative of it. Kasi ito ay isang constant term, di ba? Ngayon, meron tayong term dito na constant, tapos meron siyang x. Anong gagawin natin? So, how are we going to get the derivative of this term na may constant, tapos mayroong x? So, yun ang di-discuss natin ngayon. So, in here, as always, let a be represented as constant or let a be constant. So, ang derivative ng constant with x or ax or a times x, ang sagot mo ay si a. Kumbaga, if you're going to get a derivative of a constant times x or constant with x, the answer is the constant itself. So, to, simplify it, ang derivative ng ax ay si a. So, let me give you some examples. So, let's just say, meron tayong 3x. Anong sagot natin dito? The answer is 3. Next, kunin natin yung derivative ng negative 4x. Anong sagot natin dito? The answer is negative 4. Next, kunin natin yung derivative ng x. Itong si x, 'di ba parang mukhang wala naman siyang constant eh. Si x lang naman eh, 'di ba? Pero kapag may nakita kang ganyang variable, wala siyang coefficient, actually meron siya. X is the same as 1 times x or 1x ang tawag dyan. Okay? So kapag may nakita kang variable na walang coefficient, like parang hindi siya kita, kumbaga it exists as a variable lang or as a variable I mean. So ibig sabihin nun, meron talaga siyang coefficient pero invisible siya. At yun yung si 1. Okay? The 1. Ito yun. So x is the same as 1 times x or 1x. So therefore, ang derivative ng 1x ay 1. Okay? So one more. Kunin natin yung derivative ng 100x. Anong sagot mo rito? Ang sagot mo ay si 100. So what did you notice? Okay? We noticed that kapag meron tayong term na may constant na may x, ang sagot natin is yung constant niya. Si 3x, anong derivative ng 3x? Yung constant na si 3. Anong derivative ng negative 4x? Ang derivative niya ay yung constant na si negative 4. Anong derivative ng x? Ang sagot niya ay yung constant na si 1. Anong derivative ng 100x? Ang sagot niya ay yung constant na 100. Yun lang, it's easy. So once again, whether if it's positive, negative, big or small, naka-fraction o hindi, okay? Rational or irrational, naka-decimal o ano, tapos meron siyang x. The answer is yung sila, like yung constant pa rin. Okay? So parang ganito, derivative ng tawag ito, derivative ng wait, x all over 3. Ito, this is the same as the derivative of 1/3 of x. Kumbaga parang binaba ko si x sa gilid. So anong sagot mo? Ang sagot ay yung constant na si 1/3. O di ba? Ganun lang yun. It's easy. Okay? So basically, in this rule of differentiation, ang goal mo lang rito is basically get the constant, yung coefficient niya mismo. That's it. Okay? It's easy. Alright? So we're done with the first rule, then the second rule, di ba, na basic. Then we will go to the third rule naman. Okay? So ito naman, yung third rule ay yung tinatawag natin na power, ay wait lang, ayusin ko lang yung spelling. I mean yung sulat ko pala. Power rule. Okay? Wait. Power rule. Ayan. So power rule of differentiation. So dito, we're going to use this one sa variable na may exponent. Okay, yung exponent na visible, okay? Or basically basta a variable na may exponent. Okay? Remember kanina, yung sinagot kong x squared minus 2x plus 1. Itong example na to. Kung si 1, isa siyang constant term and we know how to get the derivative of it, then itong si second term, which is si negative 2x, isa siyang term na may constant with x and we know how to get the derivative of it. Ngayon, paano naman si x squared? Ito yung term na variable tapos meron siyang exponent. So, anong gagawin natin dito? So yun, we're going to use power rule of differentiation. Again, para saan to? Para sa variable na may exponent. So, let n be represented as exponent or let n be exponent. So, kung kukunin natin ang derivative ng x raised to n? The answer is n times x raised to n minus 1. Ang gulo ha. Kumbaga ito yung formula na gagamitin mo. Pero worry not, I'm just gonna explain it simply, okay, and briefly. So, let me give you some examples. So let's just say, yung kanina, di ba, meron tayong x squared. Let's use that as an example. So meron tayong x squared. So anong derivative ng x squared? So itong gagawin mo. Una, copy the exponent. So anong exponent natin? Di ba si 2? So magiging 2. Then next, copy the given, which is si x squared. Then next, yung sa exponent, isubtract mo ng 1. So magiging 2 minus 1. So magiging 2x raised to 1 or 2x. Yan yung sagot. Now, let's try one more example. Actually, not one more, pero more examples para ma-master natin. Meron tayong x cube. So, anong gagawin natin? Una, copy the exponent, 3. Next, copy the given, x cube. And last but not the least, ilagay mo si negative 1 sa exponent ng 3. So, magiging 3 minus 1. So, 3x raised to 3 minus 1, that is 2. And that is your answer. Now, let's have more examples pa para mas naintindihan natin. So, let's just say meron tayong x raised to 6. Anong gagawin natin? So, ulitin ko. Copy the exponent. Copy the given. Then, yung exponent, isubtract natin ng 1. So, magiging 6x raised to 5. So, nakukuha nyo na, guys. Do you guys get how I got this one? Because after this one, we're going to proceed to more, yung parang a bit challenging examples para mag-gets natin lalo. Kasi itong si exponent, pwede itong negative or pwede itong naka-fraction. Diba? So this one, madali-dali pa to. Okay? So, nakukuha nyo yung technique. Okay? Copy the exponent. Then next, copy the given. Then dun sa exponent part, lagyan mo ng minus 1. Tapos, i-simplify mo na. Alright? So, sorry. Let's try more examples. Okay? So, what if meron tayong derivative of x raised to negative 3? Kung baka meron tayong negative exponent. Ganun pa rin ang technique. It's still the same. Okay? So, magiging, una, what to do? I-kopya mo yung exponent. Then next, kopya mo yung given. Then, dun sa exponent part, lagyan mo ng minus 1. So, negative 3 minus 1. So, we will have negative 3x raised to negative 4. Yan na yung final sagot mo. That's it. Okay? Pero, we can simplify this one pa. Why? Di ba meron tayong negative na exponents? So, kapag ayaw natin ng negative, anong ginagawa natin? Di ba we reciprocate it? Recall natin sa isa sa mga laws of exponent. Excuse me. Kapag meron tayong x raised to negative n, ang mangyari dyan, we will have equivalent of 1 all over x raised to n. Ibig sabihin nun, okay, kapag meron kang variable na may negative exponent at ayaw mo ng negative, we can reciprocate it. Okay? So, kumbaga, ganito mangyayari. 1 all over x raised to n. So, we will have negative 3 times 1 all over x raised to 4. Ayan. Yan ang gagawin natin. So, ipag-multiply natin to, we will have negative 3 all over x raised to 4. Or, pwede nating ibaba yung negative sign sa gilid. So, magiging negative 3 all over x raised to 4. So, yan yung magiging final sagot natin. Alright? So, ganun. It's actually easy. Diba? So, that's the thing. Kahit negative, positive, the same, technique pa rin tayo. How about this one? Ito. The derivative of x raised to 1/4. May fraction. The technique is still the same. Ganun pa rin. It's still the same. Anong gagawin? Copy the exponent, 1/4. Then copy the given, x raised to 1/4. Then dun sa exponent part, lagyan mo ng -1. So 1/4 minus 1. Simplify. 1/4 x, 1/4 minus 1 is negative 3/4. So sa mga hindi nakagets kung paano nakakuha ng negative 3/4, I use one of the techniques to get the answer for this one. So there are two techniques here that I would like to share. Okay? So di ba 1/4 minus 1? Ang first technique rito is yung tawag nito? Yung pag-convert ng mixed fraction into an improper fraction. So basically, first thing to do is multiply the denominator to the whole number. Okay? So 4 times, wait lang 4 times negative 1. So 4 times negative 1 is negative 4. Okay? Then after that, what you're going to do is you're going to add that product to the numerator. Okay? Kumbaga, kung ano yung product na resulta, yan ang i-add mo sa numerator. Okay? So magiging magiging negative 4 plus 1. Okay? So negative 4 plus 1 is negative 3. Then after that, copy the denominator. So magiging 4. That's it. Okay? That's how you do it. Okay? So basically, sa first technique, it's like you're converting a mixed fraction to a improper fraction. So first step, multiply the denominator and the whole number. Okay? So 4 times negative 1 is negative 4. Then next, the product, we will add it to the numerator. So, negative 4 plus 1. Okay? Kasi positive 1 to eh. So, negative 4 plus 1. So, we will have negative 3. Then lastly, copy the denominator. So, we will have what? Negative 3/4. So, that's it. Okay? Yun lang. So, that's the first technique. And there's this another technique that I would like to share, which is actually recommended ko to para sa inyo, which is tinatawag na butterfly technique. This technique is used to basically combine two dissimilar fractions or fractions na magkaiba ng denominator that are separated with addition or subtraction operation. Okay? Kumbaga, if we are adding or subtracting two dissimilar fractions, how are we going to combine them as a whole fraction? Yun. Okay? So, you see we have 1/4 minus 1. And 1 is not a fraction. It's a whole number. Hindi siya fraction. Whole number to. Whole term, kumbaga. What are we going to do para maging fraction siya? Tong si, whole term na si negative 1, pwede siya magkaroon ng denominator ng 1. Okay? Sa mga terms na hindi naka-fraction, meron silang invisible na denominator ng 1. Kunwari si x. Pwede rin itong maging x all over 1. Diba? Si 3, pwede rin maging 3 all over 1. Okay? So that means, si negative 1, pwede rin itong maging negative 1 all over 1. Ayan. Then now, let's apply butterfly technique. So how to apply butterfly technique? You're going to, first things first, multiply diagonally. So, i-multiply ko muna si 1 at saka sa 1 diagonally. So, 1 times 1 is 1. Next, copy the operation between them, which is minus. So, 1 minus. Okay? Then next, multiply diagonally 4 times 1. So, magiging 4. Alright? Then last but not the least, multiply the two denominators. 4 times 1, 4. So yun, simplify, 1 minus 4 is negative 3 all over 4 or negative 3/4. O, di ba? Nakukuha nyo ba ako? Okay. Kumbaga, it's like cross-multiplying. Gets nyo? It's like cross-multiplying. So, cross-multiply, 1 times 1, 1. Tapos yung operation sa gitna, minus. Tapos, 4 times 1, so magiging 4. Then, after that, multiply mo yung denominator ng, multiply mo yung mga denominators. So, 4 times 1 is 4. So, we will have negative 3 all over 4, which is the same as negative 3/4. O, diba? So, yeah, that's how I got the answer. So, I hope you've learned sa techniques na to, because maybe in the future, I'm not gonna discuss it anymore. Okay. So, yeah, that's it. Yun lang naman. Alright? Pero, as you can see, by the way, okay na to Pero kung ayaw nyo ng exponent na negative, anong gagawin nyo? If ayaw nyo ng exponent na negative, i-reciprocate nyo, di ba? So, so paano yun ulit? Remember, x raised to negative n is the same as 1 all over x raised to n. So that means we have 1/4 times 1 all over x raised to positive 3/4. Okay? So, anong mangyayari? So, we will have 1 all over 4 times x raised to 3/4. So, pwede na rin to. Pero actually, pwede pa natin itong i-simplify. Pwede pa, actually. So, paano? Okay? So, kapag, kunwari, meron tayong x raised to n all over m. Kumbaga yung exponent mo naka-fraction. So, paano natin itong i-simplify? So, ito, pwede itong maging radical term. Okay? Kasi kapag meron kang exponent na naka-fraction, we can make that term into a radical term. Yung may square root, yung mga roots, kumbaga. So, ito magiging m roots. Okay? Wait lang isulat ko. So, magiging m root of x raised to n. Kumbaga, yung denominator, siya yung nasa roots. Then, yung nasa numerator, siya yung exponent ng x. So, magiging m root of x raised to n. So, therefore, ito, si x raised to 3/4, okay, since si 4, yan ang denominator, magiging, ano na siya, 4th root of x raised to yung numerator na 3. 3. Okay? Nakukuha? Kapag denominator, siya yung nasa sign or yung root sign. Then yung numerator, siya yung exponent para kay x. So magiging x raised to 4, x raised to 4. The 4th root of x raised to 3 or x cubed. Hence, we have the final answer of 1 all over 4 times, 1 all over 4 times the 4th root of x cubed. O, diba? So that's how you simplify the answer. By the way, yung mga minamarkang kong naka-check, tama naman sila. Pero kasi sometimes, they really simplify it in a different way. So it's better to know what are the other forms of simplification as much as possible. Pwede rin 'to makikita niyo sa choices. Pwede rin 'to makikita niyo sa choices or pwede rin 'to makikita niyo sa choices. So, anong gagawin ninyo if that's the case, 'di ba? So, yun. That is an example of a variable na may exponent tapos naka-fraction siya. Tapos, how would you use power rule of differentiation dito? Okay? So, basically, overall, kahit fraction, negative, positive, or naka-decimal yung yung exponent mo, the same technique lang. And it's up to you kung paano mo siyang i-simplify. Kapag naka-simplify na siya, okay na. Okay na yun. Pero if kailangang i-simplify pala, dun na kayo mag-iisip on how would you simplify. Just like what we did in here, this recent problem, which is x raised to 1/4. Okay? So, yun lang naman. So, we're done with the 3 basic differentiation rules. Ngayon, what if meron tayong constant tapos naging coefficient siya sa isang function? Paano natin kunin yung derivative niya? So, that would be the 4th basic differentiation rule na i-discuss natin. So, in here, we're going to discuss the derivative of a constant, wait lang, with a constant with function or with a function. Okay? So, yun ang i-discuss natin. Constant with function. So, what does it mean? Okay? Constant with function. Ibig sabihin nun, it is a term na may constant na may function. Pero let's simplify natin. Anong itsura ng function? Yung function na to, pwede itong algebraic. Pwede rin itong trigonometric. Pwede rin itong naka-exponential and many more functions. Pero syempre, nasa basics pa lang tayo, we're going to focus at the algebraic functions lang. Okay? Yan ang focus natin na let's disregard these other functions. Algebraic lang muna focus natin. So, ano yung mga functions na algebraic? Yun yung naka-polynomial. Like for example, x squared minus x plus 1, o kaya naka-monomial like x cubed, o kaya 5x raised to 4, o kaya 3x raised to 7, and so on and so forth. These are the examples of algebraic functions. Okay? Malalaman mo naman kapag algebraic function siya kapag puro constant at variables lang ginamit. Hindi trigonometry, hindi naka-exponent, and yada yada. Basta ganito lang itsura niya. So, we're going to focus at that part lang ha. So anyways, going back, constant with a function. Okay? So, anong gagawin natin? So again, let A be a constant. So, syempre, kapag constant with function, ang itsura nito, magiging A times function of X. Ganito itsura niya. Ibig sabihin nun, itong si constant, naging coefficient siya ng function given. So, anong gagawin natin dito? So, ito, ang derivative ng A times function of X ay A times the derivative of the function of X. Yan ang gagawin natin. So, anong ibig sabihin natin dito? Ba't parang on the right side, nasa labas si function? Kung ba't parang hindi siya ginalaw? Okay? So, ibig sabihin nun, okay, kapag may nakita kang term na may constant with a function, tapos kukunin mo yung derivative niya, basically, wag mong kunin yung derivative ng constant. Ikopya mo lang siya, tapos kunin mo na yung derivative ng katabi niyang function. Nakukuha ba? Basically, if you have a term that has a function, tapos may constant, tapos kukunin mo yung derivative niya, ang gagawin mo is, ikopya mo lang si constant, tapos kunin mo yung derivative ng katabi niya, which is yung function niya. Yun yung fourth rule ang di-discuss natin. Okay? So let me give you some of the examples. So we have the derivative of 3x squared. 3x raised to 2. Ayan. So, dito, okay, meron tayong algebraic function na x squared. Okay, meron tayong algebraic function na x squared. So, how are we going to do that? So, anong gagawin? Okay, kapag meron tayong constant at meron tayong function na algebraic, what to do? So, first, copy the constant, which is C3. Then, kunin mo yung derivative ng katabi niya, which is C x squared. Okay? Ganun yung gagawin mo. Okay? That's it. Okay? So, copy the constant, then kunin mo yung derivative ng katabi niya. That's it. Okay? So, di ba meron tayong x squared? So, anong gagamitin nating rule? So, recall na kapag meron tayong variable na naka-exponent and you are asked to get the derivative of it, then ang gagamitin mo ay power rule of differentiation. Okay? We're going to use power rule of differentiation dito. So, paano kaya to? Okay? So, anong derivative ng x squared? So, we're going to use power rule of differentiation. So, ano kaya ang technique kung paano gumamit nun? First, copy the exponent. Then next, copy the given. Then, yung exponent na yun, isubtract mo ng 1. So, magiging 3 times 2x raised to 2 minus 1 is 1. Or, just simple as 2x. Na yun, i-multiply mo na silang dalawa. 3 times 2x is 6x. Ayun, ganun lang. Now, let's the derivative of 5x raised to 4. Okay? So, meron tayong constant na 5 at meron tayong algebraic function na x raised to 4. So, anong gagawin natin? So, first, copy the constant, 5. Then, next, kunin mo yung derivative ng katabi niya, which is c, x raised to 4. Ayan. Now, how are we going to get the derivative of x raised to 4? So, remember, kapag meron tayong variable na may exponent, anong sabi ko? Gagamit ka ng power rule of differentiation. So, we will use power rule of differentiation dito. So, what's the technique? Una, kopyahin mo si exponent, si 4. Then next, tawag nito, kopyahin mo yung given, which is x raised to 4. Then, yung exponent part, isubtract mo ng 1. So, magiging 5 times 4x raised to 4 minus 1, 3. So, therefore, kung i-multiply natin sila, magiging 20x cubed. O, di ba? See? Okay? So, you see the whole point here? Basically, kapag meron kang constant, tapos meron kang katabi na function, ang gawin mo lang is, ikopya mo lang si constant, tapos kunin mo lang yung derivative ng function. Or yung katabi niya, basically. Yun lang. Now, let's try to add one more example. Okay? So, let's just say, meron tayong, derivative of 5x raised to 1 half. Okay? So, the same technique pa rin. Okay? First, copy the constant. Then next, kunin mo yung derivative ng katabi niya, which is x raised to 1 half. So, how are we going to get the derivative of x raised to 1 half? We will use power rule of differentiation. Kasi, it is a variable na may exponent. So, anong gagawin? The same technique. First, copy the exponent. Then next, copy the given, x raised to 1 half. Then, sa exponent part, we will subtract it by 1. So, 5 times 1 half times x raised to 1 half minus 1 is negative 1 half. Therefore, kung i-multiply natin silang dalawa, we will have 5 all over 2 times x raised to negative 1 half. Yan yung sagot natin. Or pwede pa natin siyang i-simplify. So kapag ayaw mo ng negative exponent, okay, anong gagawin natin? Na-discuss ko na to kanina. Anong gagawin natin? We will just, what? We will reciprocate it. Kumbaga, if we have x raised to negative n, we can have 1 all over x raised to n. Gets mo? So magiging 5 all over 2 times 1 all over x raised to 1 half. So i-multiply natin itong dalawa, we will have 5 all over 2 times x raised to 1 half. So tama to. Okay? Or pwede pa natin i-simplify si x. Remember, kapag meron tayong exponent na naka-fraction, we can convert that term into a radical term. So if we have x raised to n all over m, then it is equal to m root of x raised to n. Kumbaga, yung denominator ng fraction, siya yung nasa radical sign o yung naka-root sign. Then, yung nasa numerator, siya yung exponent ng x mo. Okay? So, therefore, okay, if, wait lang nga, ibaba ko lang itong konti. If we have, x raised to 1 half, so magiging square root of x raised to 1. Itong square root, ibig sabihin nun, yung m mo ay 2. Pero since square root siya, you will not put 2. Okay? Rather, square root lang. Okay? Then, yung numerator niyang si 1, yun yung exponent para kay x. So, we have x raised to 1. Or just simple as x. So, magiging 5 all over 2 times square root of x. So, yun na yung final sagot natin. You can still simplify this one if you like to. But for me, I'm gonna stop right there. O, diba? So, that's it. Okay? So, overall, nasabi ko na to kanina, if you have a term na may na partner ng function, then, basically, ikopya mo lang si constant, tapos kunin mo yung katabi niyang function na derivative. Okay? So, ulitin ko, if you are asked to get the derivative of a term that has a constant with a function, just copy the constant and the function, you're going to differentiate it. Okay? Nakukuha ba? Okay? So, ganun lang yung gagawin ninyo. So, we've discussed the 4 basic rules of differentiation. And now we will discuss the last one. Okay? The last one is one of the most important rules of differentiation. Okay? And that is, the sum and, the sum and rule of differentiation. Okay? Sum and difference rule of differentiation. So, how are we basically going to do that? So, di ba kanina, we have x squared minus 2x plus 1. Okay? Di ba? So, di ba we know how to get the derivative of 1? Okay, yung constant term. Next, we know how to get the derivative of a term na may constant at may x. Tapos, we know how to get the derivative of a term na variable siya, tapos meron siyang exponent. Okay? Ngayon, how are you going to get the derivative all of them? Okay, kumbaga by group na sila. Kasi ito, by group na to. So, how are you going to get the derivative of them? Okay? So, basically, what you're going to do is to differentiate them one by one. Okay? Kasi ito sa sum and difference rule of differentiation, hindi mo lang siya ma-apply lang sa mga basics, kundi ma-apply mo rin yan sa mga advanced na problems. Kunwari, anong derivative ng x cubed minus 2x squared plus 4x plus 5? How are you going to get the derivative this one as a whole? Second, meron tayong sine of 2x minus cosine x. Ano ang derivative nilang dalawa? Okay? Lastly, what is the derivative of 4e raised to 1 half x plus 3x squared plus sine x? So how are you going to get the derivative for this one? O, di ba? So yun yung tinatawag natin na sum and difference rule of differentiation. So basically, we are differentiating an expression, a group of terms that are grouped together. Okay, we are differentiating we're differentiating an expression. Okay, that are separated by the sum or difference. Or basically, we are separated the terms by addition or subtraction operation. Okay? Pero syempre, basics muna tayo. So we're not going to focus at the advanced. Rather, we're going to focus sa mga algebraic expression lang muna. Katulad nito, si x cubed minus 2x squared plus 4x plus 5. Okay? So, how are you going to differentiate an algebraic expression? So, madali lang. Okay? So, let's just say we have f of x and g of x. So if you are asked to get the derivative of the sum of the f of x and g of x, or the difference between f of x and g of x, okay, basically, if you're asked to get the derivative of f of x plus or minus g of x, then the answer for that is the derivative of f of x plus or minus the derivative of g of x. Okay? Basically, i-differentiate natin yung mga terms isa't isa. Okay, yun yung gagawin natin. We will differentiate the terms isa't isa. Okay? One by one. So let me give you an example or some examples, I mean, sorry. So dito tayo para may space tayo. So let's just say we are asked to get the derivative of yung kanina, x squared minus 2x plus 1. So kapag meron kayong ganitong expression, you're just going to differentiate the terms one by one. So magiging derivative of x squared minus the derivative of 2x. Wait lang. There we go. 2x plus the derivative of 1. So, isa-isa natin silang i-differentiate. Now, let's get the derivative of x squared. So, paano natin kunin to? Remember, kapag meron kang variable na may exponent, we will use power rule of differentiation. So, ano ulit yung technique nun? First, copy the exponent. The next, copy the given x squared. Then, yung exponent part, i-subtract mo ng 1. O, diba? Okay? So, 2 minus 1 is 1. Or just simple as 2x. Okay? Next, anong derivative ng 2x? Recall natin sa second term, yung second basic rule of differentiation. Kapag meron kang term na may constant na may x, anong gagawin? Kunin mo lang si constant. So therefore, we will have the answer of negative 2. And lastly, itong si si 1, kung kukunin mo yung derivative niya, anong sagot? The answer is 0 because 1 is a constant term. And remember kanina, ang derivative ng constant term ay 0. So therefore, the derivative of 1 is 0. So let's simplify. We have 2x minus 2 plus 0. I mean, syempre, magiging wala na si 0. Magiging 2x minus 2 na siya. So therefore, yan na yung magiging sagot ninyo. Or we can still simplify this one. You see, 2x at saka si negative 2, both of them are divisible by 2. Kumbaga, they have a GCF or greatest common factor na 2. So therefore, we can factor it out. So ano mangyayari pag na-factor out mo si 2 dito sa expression na to? So we will have 2 times quantity x minus 1. So tama na to. O, diba? So that's it. It's actually easy. Basically, kapag meron kang group of terms, i-differentiate mo lang siya isa't isa. Okay? Isa't isa. Now, let's try one more. Okay? So let's just say we are asked to get the derivative of sabi nating 3x raised to 4 minus 2x squared plus x plus 5. So paano to? So, anong gagawin? Kapag sum and difference, basically, we will differentiate them one by one. So magiging derivative of 3x raised to 4 minus the derivative of 2x squared. Next, plus the derivative of x. And lastly, the derivative of 5. Ayan. So now let's take it slow. Sa first term, the derivative of 3x raised to 4. Anong gagawin natin dito? As you can see, meron tayong constant na 3 at meron tayong algebraic function na x raised to 4. Okay? So anong gagawin natin? So, we will copy the constant, then get the derivative of the function x raised to 4. Kumbaga, let the constant be, then differentiate the constant. Mali. Sorry. Mali ako ng wording. Basically, kapag meron kang constant at kapartner niya ay isang function, basically, wag mong galawin si constant, rather, i-differentiate mo lang si function. Okay? Yun yung fourth rule na diniscuss natin kanina lang. Okay? Which is the fourth basic rule of differentiation na we have a term na kung saan we have a constant with a function. Okay? So, ganun lang yung gagawin ninyo. Alright? Sa second term, ganun din. Kasi meron tayong constant at meron tayong algebraic function. So, magiging minus 2 times the derivative of x squared. Okay? Then, ikopya ko muna itong mga ibang terms. Okay? Let's copy the other terms. Alright? So, anong gagawin natin? So, now we can differentiate. So, 3 times, anong derivative ng x raised to 4? So, since kasi si x raised to 4, isa siyang term na may variable na kung saan meron din siyang exponent. So, therefore, we're going to use power rule of differentiation. So, anong technique nun? Copy the exponent, copy the given, then yung exponent na yun, lagyan mo ng -1. So, 4 minus 1 is 3. Okay? Ganon. Next, sa second term, 2 times the derivative of x squared. So, since si x squared, isa siyang term na may variable na x, tapos meron din siyang exponent. So, anong gagamitin natin na rule? Power rule of differentiation ang gagamitin natin. Okay? Kasi merong variable na may exponent. So, what to do? Copy the exponent, copy the base, base tuloy, copy the given. Then, ilagyan mo ng -1 yung exponent. So, 2 minus 1 is 1. Or, just simple as 2x. Okay? Now, sa third term, anong derivative ng x? Remember, sa diniscuss natin kanina na second basic rule of differentiation, okay, kapag may constant with x, anong sagot? Yung constant mismo. Si x, ito, this is the same as 1 times x or 1x. Therefore, ang derivative ng 1x ay 1. Okay? Or derivative ng x ay 1. Lastly, is derivative ng 5. Remember, yung first basic rule of differentiation natin is that kapag kukunin natin yung derivative ng constant term, anong sagot? 0, di ba? So, magiging plus 0. So, let's simplify na. So, 3 times 4, we will have 12x cubed. Minus 2 times 2x, magiging minus 4x. And lastly, 1 plus 0, magiging 1 lang siya. Therefore, yan na yung final na sagot natin. That's it. We are all done. Okay? So, ganun lang naman. Okay? That's basically it. Okay? So, I hope you have learned something in this discussion because these are all of the 5 basic rules na kailangan nyo talagang alamin. Alright? So, don't worry. We will still have another practice naman tungkol sa sum and difference rule of differentiation. Because as long as you know the constant rule of differentiation, constant with x rule of differentiation, power rule of differentiation, and constant with a function rule of differentiation, then you already know what to do pagdating sa sum and difference rule of differentiation. Okay? Because yan yung i-discuss natin sa susunod na part. Then after that, we can discuss some other rules pa na kailangan yung alamin. Okay? So, how about naman kapag we're going to multiply two variables? Or rather, we're going to multiply two functions. So, paano yun? Yung i-discuss pa natin yan sa susunod pa. Okay? Yun yung tinatawag natin na product rule of differentiation. But we're going to discuss that soon. For now, let's stick with the basics. Okay?